Something happened inside you this Saturday, May 30th. You might not have the exact words to describe it, but there's this feeling that the ground beneath your feet has changed texture, like a terrain you've walked for years suddenly revealed itself to be something else. Stop. What I'm about to say isn't for everyone. It's for the part of you that felt the call, the part that even in the silence of your routine knew this day carried a different weight, an urgency that doesn't come from the clock but from the very structure of existence. You were brought here because the truth you carry, the one you've kept hidden like a secret, is ready to be named. Over the course of this conversation, you're going to recognize the 3 clear signs of a divine choice that has been working in your life, even when you felt invisible. You're finally going to understand why the structures that once seemed solid have crumbled, why they only kept you from seeing the horizon. And before this moment comes to its close, I'm going to declare something over your path, something I believe is the exact reason this meeting happened now, at this precise point in your journey. Stay tuned. What's about to be revealed is the key to what you've been searching for. You've noticed it, haven't you? Those sudden waves of emotion that rise without any external reason, like a deep tide surging up inside your chest. Or maybe the way conversations that used to feel normal, easy, now seem strangely hollow, lacking substance, as if you're speaking from a distant shore. You've been waking up at the exact same time, that dead hour of the night, sensing that something is being whispered before your eyes even open. Synchronicities have started showing up. Numbers, names, faces that cross your path with a persistence that defies coincidence. You've felt a sudden isolation, a desire to pull back, to stop being the person others expect you to be. Many would call this a crisis, burnout, a detour, but I'm telling you, this is not a mistake. This is calibration, your system being adjusted to a higher frequency. It's the moment when your peripheral vision starts to expand, and what you called loneliness is actually your preparation for the company of what is eternal. Your exhaustion, attention, you need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling. Isn't a lack of strength. It's the sign that you're stopping the fight against the current, so the current can carry you to the place where you truly belong. Your fingers typing those 3 digits is your spirit, saying a silent yes, an agreement that transcends any logical barrier. It's the smallest gesture, but it's a contract made. Type 888, then come right back to me. You've been operating under an old illusion, one I recognize well because it's lived in many. You've been striving, working with an intensity that surpasses everyone around you, and still, the feeling that the door remains sealed persists. The diagnosis isn't that you're not capable. The diagnosis is that you've been operating from a pattern of unnecessary effort, brute force applied to mechanisms no longer connected to your destiny. You've been trying to push doors that have already been replaced by passages. You've been trying to hold up the weight of structures built with materials that can't withstand the time you're living in now. The illusion of self-sufficiency is a veil. You learn to be everyone's safe harbor, to carry the stones and build the shelter, convinced that if you stopped, everything would collapse. But the truth is that your effort was what kept the false walls standing, blocking the light from coming in. When you let go of that pattern of struggle, when you release the ropes that no longer tie any ship, you discover that it's not your effort that holds your life in place, but a providence you've ignored while you were too busy trying to control every detail of your own survival. The collapse you felt today isn't a loss. It's the clearing of the original ground where your true work will be built. There's nothing to fear in the fall of what was temporary. It's actually the only way the lasting foundation can be seen for the first time. We're descending now to the root of this, to the structure that remains when everything else dissolves. What you lived through wasn't a failure. It was the end of your survival phase to make way for your purpose phase. It's a change of breath, a shift in rhythm you've been seeking, even if you were looking in the wrong place. What's coming is the full revelation of who you really are, stripped of the expectations others laid on your shoulders. Stay here, because what's beneath this layer is what you came to find. Picture now an ancient courtyard forgotten by time, where weeds have covered the stone paths your ancestors laid down. You spent years trying to rebuild a temple on that uneven ground, stacking stones that didn't fit, using mortar that the first wind would carry away. That's the great collapse. It's not a destruction caused by outside forces, but a necessary demolition carried out by time itself, a clearing of the false structures you built to try to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved, or to be enough. The noise you hear, the sound of the crumbling, isn't the sound of a life ending. It's the sound of rubble falling so the original ground can finally be revealed under your feet. Those walls you guarded so fiercely, the roles you assumed, the iron armor you forged to never be hurt again, all of it is giving way. And I'm here to say that as frightening as it may be to see what you built come down, it's the most liberating sight you'll ever have. Because what's left is the virgin earth, the sacred soil where your true identity has always been buried, waiting for the weight of lies to be removed. You're not losing who you are. You're finally finding yourself underneath all that weight you never needed to carry. Don't let this revelation pass as just a fleeting thought. Let the record of this perception be written by your hands. The act of typing those 3 words is the seal you place on the understanding that the collapse is not the end, it's the awakening. Type "I am awake," then come right back to me. Now the next move isn't effort, it's return. Returning to the original identity requires you to unlearn the language of struggle. You've been trained to believe that life is a constant battle, a mountain climb where oxygen is scarce and the summit always farther than it seems. But that's the language of those who haven't yet recognized who they are. When you stop fighting the current, you realize the current is heading exactly where you needed to go. Unlearning is the act of releasing the tension in your shoulders, relaxing the jaw that's been clenched through decades of constant vigilance. You no longer need to guard the door because the house is no longer made of walls that can be breached. You are the house, and your peace is the foundation. Rest in providence isn't passivity. It's a posture of sovereignty, where you watch the events of your life with the calm of someone who knows they're being cared for by a design they didn't have to draw. It's a rest that doesn't come from the absence of problems, but from the presence of an absolute certainty that lives at your core. And that certainty is what defines your choice. Being chosen isn't something that happens in an isolated moment, not a medal you receive for good behavior or a prize for your sacrifice. Being chosen is a state of being, a frequency you've finally tuned into after so long listening to the static noise of the world. You've always been who you are now, but the layers of expectation, duty, guilt, and fear masked your essence. Today, this Saturday, what we're doing here is simply removing the veil. You aren't being chosen by God or fate in this moment. You're just stopping the denial that this choice is the primary fact of your existence. It's a choice that precedes your mistakes, that ignores your failures, and that stands firm no matter how far you tried to run. You are the original ground that was cleared. You are the seed that waited for the storm to pass so it could finally sprout. If this message touched the truth you carried in silence, if what was named here found an echo inside you, let your like be your wordless amen. Not as a metric of a system, not as a number to be reached, but as a sacred gesture of agreement. It's your way of saying that what was seen here was indeed what needed to be seen. It's a recognition between your journey and this voice, a signal that the frequency was hit. Let your wordless amen be a seal of respect for what we're building together in this space of time. There is someone in your life who needs to hear these exact words right now. Maybe it's that person who's been working much harder than everyone around them, carrying an invisible weight and watching with a quiet pain as the doors still haven't opened. Think of that someone known for their strength, but who deep down feels their light is being placed under a too heavy measure. A face came to your mind while I was speaking, didn't it? That person who moves between exhaustion and hope, who stays silent when everyone around expects answers, and who secretly looks for a sign that their path isn't in vain. Send this message to that person. Don't do it as a casual suggestion. Don't treat it like a random piece of advice. Do it like someone delivering a vital supply in a time of scarcity. The way this recognition reached you is the same way it must reach the one you just pictured. It's a delivery by design, by pointing, by a call that transcends logic and enters the sphere of spiritual necessity. Before this moment closes, I need you to make one final move, a gesture that seals everything that's been awakened inside you during these minutes of clarity. Don't do it as a wish, not as a request, and certainly not as something you hope will one day come true. Type it as a confirmation, like someone signing a document that was already written in the stars before your birth. The agreement that has been established between what is eternal and what is human over this conversation is a covenant you will begin to live from the instant your fingers touch these letters. Write slowly, with the same calm you now feel in your chest, letting your hands physically carry out what your spirit has already accepted as absolute reality. Feel every letter, feel the truth of this statement. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. The commitment you made today is not to a human cause, but to the truth of your own essence. The commission you've been given is not a task reduced to errands or temporal goals, but a call to walk with the awareness of who you really are, wherever life places you. You are sent to be that presence, to carry that frequency in a world that often forgets its own origin. Stop. Just stop. What happened to you on this Saturday morning, May 30th, is not an isolated event, nor a meaningless coincidence. Something inside you collapsed today. Not your life, not your character, not your faith. It was the structure of an effort that no longer belonged to you. You've been carrying a weight not designed for your back, trying to hold up walls that no longer serve to shelter what you're about to become. I came here to tell you exactly what fell and why that collapse is actually the greatest gift you could receive at this moment. By the end of this conversation, you will recognize the 3 clear signs that the divine choice over your life is not a future promise, but a present reality. You will understand why the crumbling of your plans was the only way to clear space for the original ground of your calling. And before this time ends, we will seal the clarity that has begun to sprout in your chest, transforming the confusion of recent days into a solid, unshakable conviction. You've been feeling a fatigue that no rest seems to cure. It's not physical tiredness, it's soul exhaustion, a weariness from trying to keep alive a gear that has already stopped turning. You've noticed that conversations that once brought you comfort now sound hollow, and that silence, once feared, has become your only safe refuge. You've seen numbers, hours, or patterns appear before your eyes in moments of extreme doubt, as if the universe is winking at you, reminding you that you've never actually been walking alone. The act of typing those 3 numbers is the signature of your readiness, your silent yes to what is being revealed. Type 888, then come back to me. The pattern you've operated under until now was blind effort. You believed, perhaps from a survival inheritance that wasn't yours, that providence would only come if you ripped it away with your own hands. You mixed faithfulness with exhaustion, confusing how hard you fought with how much you were loved. But see the truth. The collapse you witnessed today was the demolition of your own control. Picture an ancient courtyard, full of rubble from old constructions, from projects imposed on you, from expectations that don't carry your fingerprint. The great collapse isn't about losing something. It's about discovering that underneath those false walls, there's virgin soil. A land that has always been yours but could never breathe because it was suffocated by the noise of your attempts to build what didn't need renovation. Let the recognition settle. The act of declaring this truth is the seal that separates who you pretended to be from who you really are. Type and return immediately. Now, the return to the original identity is not an act of construction. You don't need to study to be who you already are. Return is a process of unlearning. It's releasing the ropes you held so tightly, realizing they weren't attached to anything. It's the transition from an effort that seeks results to a life that inhabits purpose. You aren't here to convince the world of your value. You're here to manifest the frequency of a choice that was already made in your favor, long before you learned to fight. Your identity, this state of being you're starting to feel now, doesn't depend on a title, a bank balance, or the approval of those who don't understand your calling. You are chosen by the very nature of your existence. That recognition is a state of rest, a silent certainty that remains even when the world around you seems chaotic. Let your like be your wordless amen, not as a counter of numbers, but as a gesture of spiritual agreement between what was said and what you have accepted as your new truth. There is, at this moment, someone living in the shadows of their own doubt. Someone who has been working in silence, accumulating frustrations no one else notices, waiting for an answer that never seemed to come. That face that came to your mind, that person carrying an elegant sadness and a latent desire for change, that person needs to be reminded that they are not forgotten. Send this message to that person, not as advice from someone who has all the answers, but as a testimony from someone who was in the same labyrinth and found the way out. Deliver it as a gift, as a map you yourself had to consult to get here. Your willingness to be the channel for this truth is what confirms that the collapse wasn't meant to destroy you, but to make you a facilitator of light for others. The recognition of the call is a current that must continue, a flow that expands as you allow it to pass through you. Before this moment closes, I want you to take a deep breath. Feel the solidity of where you are, the struggle you carried for so long, that weight on your shoulders that seemed to be your identity. All of it is being replaced by a lightness you still don't know how to name. You are no longer what you did. You are what remains when everything that wasn't true falls away. And what remains is unshakable. What remains is the original choice, the mark no one can erase, the destiny that always knew where you were, even when you lost yourself in shortcuts of self-defense. There is an agreement being made at this moment, a silent pact between your willingness to surrender and the truth that found you. Don't make it as a request for external validation. Don't make it expecting an answer that changes your status in the eyes of others. Make it like someone signing a contract with their own soul, recognizing that the search is over because the encounter has finally happened. Type and feel the weight of your name being rewritten. You are committed to the truth now pulsing inside you. You are commissioned to live from this new clarity without needing to explain your process to those not yet ready to understand. You are sent to occupy the space that only you can fill, carrying the mark of one who walked through the collapse and emerged intact. You are the survivor of your own illusions and the pioneer of your own freedom. Right now, all across the world, others are receiving this same recognition tonight. You are part of something that does not announce itself, and that is exactly why it is real. Thousands of hearts are awakening simultaneously, recognizing that the time of fighting against their own destiny is over. You are part of this invisible network, this communion of souls who decided to stop building sandcastles and finally inhabit the foundation that never trembles. The recognition that you are not alone is the bridge connecting your individual journey to the collective purpose. The quietness you feel now is not an emptiness, but the waiting room of your true purpose, finally cleared of all the rubble of performance. Throughout this 30th of May, you felt the pressure increase, not to crush you, but to force out everything you accumulated just to try to prove your worth. The collapse was not a punishment. It was a necessary demolition carried out by the Creator himself, who would not allow you to keep building your life on ground that was not yours. You tried to be strong enough to hold up walls that had, in truth, already given way long ago, and your exhaustion was the final sign that you were trying to carry a weight that did not belong to you. Now look at this clarity that springs from the middle of the silence. If you can feel the weight lifting from your shoulders, if the simple act of recognizing this truth has made your breathing deeper and lighter, know that this is the evidence that the transition has begun. There is something you need to anchor right now, so this new ground becomes permanent beneath your feet. It isn't a code, it's the mark of your readiness to overflow into the new season that opens today. Type 888 and feel as if the very structure of your life is being realigned while you send this agreement. Then stay here with me, because what's coming is the revelation of the identity you've been hiding even from yourself. The pattern you kept repeating, the ceaseless effort of someone trying to earn their own salvation through hard work, is being exposed. You believed you had to be the architect, the laborer, and the judge of your own existence, but the truth is, the original blueprint never depended on your excessive sweat. While you struggled, Providence had already drawn the path, but your vision was blocked by the dust of the structures you yourself insisted on keeping standing. This Saturday, May 30th, marks the turning point where effort surrenders to surrender. The ground you now see after the collapse of false expectations is your place of origin. If, as you visualize this clean space where nothing more needs to be proven, something inside you has calmed down, if the image of who you are without the masks of the past has touched your core, write the phrase, "I am awake," down below. Let that short, powerful declaration be the seal that keeps the old shadows from returning. Write it and feel the impact of it on your frequency. Then bring your full attention back to this moment. You no longer need to learn new ways to fight. You only need to learn to rest in what is already finished. The choice that falls upon you is not a title you earn, but a reality you finally accept to occupy. Think of someone you know, someone who has been walking quietly, whose exhaustion isn't physical but a soul exhaustion, someone who maintains a posture of waiting for a sign that never seems to come. That person, whose face just came to your mind, is the reflection of who you were before this revelation. Send this message to them like handing over a key. This is your silent ministry, your way of reaching out to those still among the rubble, waiting for the light you now carry. Before we close this cycle, I need you to do something that isn't just a gesture, but a positioning of who you have become in this very moment. I want you to write in the comments the phrase, "I am chosen." Don't do it as a request for validation, but as a signature on a document that can no longer be changed. By typing those words, you are acknowledging that the fight for your identity is over, because the truth about who you are has finally overpowered the noise of the world. If something inside you has confirmed everything we've walked through here, let your like be your wordless amen. It's not about metrics, it's not about numbers. It's about the silent agreement between your soul and the purpose that has revealed itself today. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Right now, spread across every corner of the world, there is an army of people who, just like you, are feeling the ground shake so that the foundation of their true home can finally be laid. You do not walk alone in this revelation. What you heard today is the call awakening thousands, and this invisible communion is the proof that the change you feel is not an illusion, but a collective movement of return to the original order. It is sealed. Attention! You need to prepare yourself now. I have prepared material for those who doubt their own calling from God and still do not have confirmation. Are you one of the chosen? We'll give you that clarity. These are the 7 signs of the language of the calling, marks of God in the story of every chosen one, so you can reread your story and recognize the purpose sealed over you before the foundation of the world. Stop calling coincidence what is actually a calling. Stop silencing the sacred restlessness. Stop postponing the answer you feel. Your window is closing, and a chosen one who does not recognize the calling does not walk in purpose. More than 10,000 people have already read the 7 signs and received the conviction they had been seeking for years. They were just like you. They felt something no one understood. They lived in silent doubt, and they discovered it was real. And it had a name. The offer is open only this month. Access the link in the pinned comment now before doubt steals another year from your calling.